It's Tuesday, the 4th of October, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories in 5 minutes. Let's jump into it. Story number 1, house prices across capital cities fell by 1.4% during September. That's the 5th monthly decline in a row, and prices are falling at their most in more than 40 years.
Yes, the core logic figures don't make pretty reading, with all capital cities, except for Darwin, which was flat, experiencing decline. Sydney and Brisbane led the way with falls of 1.8% and 1.7% respectively. Houses are dropping faster than apartments. Also, regional prices are falling, down 1.3% during the month. Key reasons: poor affordability, a rise in new listings, cost of living pressure, a collapse in home buyer confidence and households spending more on services, but the really big one, interest rates. 12 months ago, a borrower could take out a fixed-rate mortgage at 2%. Today, it's closer to 6%. Variable mortgage rates have gone from starting with a 3 to more than 6%. Now, let's put a bit of context around this. House prices jumped 29% between their pandemic low in September 2020 to their high in April. So far, the national average is down 5%. How far will it go? Well, some think it'll go about 7%. Stephen Koukoulas being one. Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe suggested 10%. AMP's Shane Oliver reckons between 15 and 20%. Of course, the Reserve Bank Board meets today. It's likely to lift the official cash rate by 25 or 50 basis points.
Okay, on to story number 2. Australia has backed Ukraine's claims of genocide against Russia in the International Court of Justice and expanded sanctions on senior members of the Putin regime.
Yes, Australia has filed an intervention to the United Nations Court backing Ukraine's claims. The Albanese government has imposed financial sanctions and travel bans on a further 28 Russian ministers and senior officials involved with holding sham referendums in 4 Ukrainian provinces. That takes the total number of people sanctioned by the Albanese government to 871. Of course, late last week, Vladimir Putin said he'd signed treaties to annex 4 regions of Ukraine after claiming referendums showed it was the will of the people in those territories. Everyone else agrees it was a sham.
Story number 3, Sean, we talk a lot about the importance of getting good financial advice, particularly when you're making investment decisions. Financial advice now in Australia is getting set for an overhaul, with some of the biggest super funds in the country supporting a proposal to deregulate the sector.
Yeah, look, the problem with financial advice in Australia is that people don't use it. They find it too expensive. They don't understand the value in it. So Federal Treasury has put out a bunch of draft proposals to overhaul the laws governing financial advice. It removes something called the best interests of client duty and replaces it with a duty to give good advice. It also proposes making it easier for banks and super funds to give advice. Funny thing is, the retail and industry funds, they do not like each other, but on this one, they totally agree something needs to be done. Now, the counter argument is that scrapping the best interest duty could harm customers. Bottom line, Australians need quality financial advice. Anything that does that is a good thing.
Story number 4, Sean, it might sound like a little bit of an understatement. It hasn't been a good couple of weeks for Optus. However, the competition regulator provided a little bit of positive news on Friday, suggesting that a proposed deal between the telco's 2 biggest rivals could actually lessen competition.
Yeah, look, Telstra and TPG want to join together. It means they'll be swapping spectrum. Telstra will get some of TPG's spectrum, and TPG will get some access to Telstra's infrastructure in areas where it doesn't operate. The loser in that is potentially Optus, but the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, its statement of preliminary views about the tie-up, is worried about the impact the deal will have on competition. Good news for Optus, it hasn't had much recently. Just on that issue, Optus has called into Deloitte to conduct a forensic review of its cyber security practices.
All right, last one. Story number 5, Sean. Tesla is struggling to get cars to customers, with just a touch over 343,000 cars delivered worldwide during the past 3 months. That's down on what analysts expected.
It was still a record quarter for the electric vehicle manufacturer, but it does show that supply chain snarls remain. Tesla said it's increasingly difficult to find vehicle transportation capacity at a reasonable cost during peak periods. Now, part of the problem is that Tesla's workflow means there's a rush of vehicles available at the end of the quarter, pushing up demand for and the cost of transportation. The US and China are Tesla's largest markets. The majority of sales Model 3 sedans and Y crossovers.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. And Sean, just a very quick mention of our new podcast as well. Fear and Greed has teamed up with Canna Campbell from the financial literacy platform Sugar Mama TV to create How Do They Afford That? It's really a weekly podcast, heaps of tips and hints on making your money go further, managing your household budget, investing while you've got a mortgage, all that kind of thing. Episode 1 came out yesterday.
Yes, it's a great listen. Made my kids listen to it as well, Michael. Well done.
Excellent. It's called How Do They Afford That? The link is in today's show notes. You can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Tuesday, the 4th of October, 2022. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.